And welcome to Beyond the Bylines. And I have no doubt that Joe was just caught singing on camera, but I guess this should be no different of a show from your regular show, Monday through Friday.
I feel great today, Tim. The stomach's in great shape. I have my setup going like all these people on ESPN and all these important shows. I've got the igloo right up there, Thurman Thomas right behind me, an autographed photo, I might add, of him running through the Jets, and the greatest logo in all of sports history, the Sabres. Today, my friend, I'm loaded for bear. I'm also happy because I'm headed to Florida to play golf. I feel great. I feel great, and I feel like the room around me today looks great, and I'm happy to see you.
Well, that's why we're on Thursday, because you're taking vacation. We have to cater to your whims and schedules. So because of that, Beyond the Bylines has moved up. How come I wasn't invited to Florida?
You are. I'll meet you there. Hop on a plane.
Bob is going?
Bob?
Yes. Is Bob going?
No.
Oh,
Bob
you're going to see
never goes
Ron.
What?
Are you going to see Ron?
God, no. I mean, maybe I'll call him. I can't get him
You
to
should
return.
just show up unannounced like you did to Mike McCarthy's old house. Just knock on the door.
Do you think Ron would let me in, or would he slam the door if I showed up unannounced?
He'd turn the lights out. Like he'd see you and then turn the lights out and pretend like, oh, geez, I hope he didn't see me. I hope he didn't notice.
The fact that we have to that's a legitimate question is frightening. I don't know if he would let me in. I don't even know if he would take my call, and we're friends, I think.
I thought about him a lot this week with the Roethlisberger news, and maybe we can start there with upon further review today. Ben Roethlisberger going absolutely tilt, an 11 on a scale of 1 to 10 when it comes to passive aggressiveness.
Oh, yeah.
In his response to Joey Porter, when he didn't mention Joey Porter by name. He didn't mention Joey Porter's comments. In fact, he began his podcast by saying, not much to talk about today in the world of Steelers land, and then just sort of cursory mentioned Aaron Rodgers and mock drafts and talked about professional bull riding for 15 minutes and a movie premiere that he went to. And via the movie premiere that he went to, he shoehorned in his response to Joey Porter, which is, I've grown up and matured and I found God, and that's why. But he did all that without mentioning Joey Porter's name. That is peak Roethlisberger passive aggressiveness there.
Yeah, he's the passive aggressive king, the all-time king in Pittsburgh sports. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was brilliant not to even dignify that crap. Really. I mean, because as we spoke about last week, the Porter stuff was based on a faulty premise. It was a farce based on a faulty premise. Ben didn't really rip Mike Tomlin, and certainly not in some egregious personal way. So that whole thing was a joke, and it seemed to me an excuse for other people like Mason Rudolph and Mike Adams to pile on. And then that whole thing hit bottom. The whole podcast gate hit bottom when Nelson Island weighed in.
Yeah, Nelson Island on his island talking by himself in his bedroom.
Oh, was that incredible? I don't even remember now what he said, but his thing. Oh, he talked about how Ben
tearing down the defense. They tore down the 2020 defense to keep Ben for one more year.
Tore down the 85 Bears. He might have forgotten that the, quote, great defense that Steven Nelson talked about, that Ben's cap hit allegedly ruined, even though it didn't, gave up 501 yards at home to the Cleveland Browns in a playoff game, to Baker Mayfield, no head coach on the sidelines, and some guy named Frank in the huddle. So maybe Steven Nelson forgot about that when talking about this allegedly great defense.
Yeah, something like they gave up 26 points per game and 332 yards per game over the last 6 games. So when the offense fell apart, the defense fell apart. So for him to say that was ridiculous. Like he was talking about, they let guys like Mark Barron go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
they
Terrell
did.
Edmonds. We had guys like Terrell Edmonds on that defense, buddy.
Cam Sutton was another one he brought up. Devin Bush was another one. Actually,
you know what? Bring up Devin Bush. Don't you have to if Devin Bush is your reference point? Don't you have to mention that he got hurt, and don't you have to mention that Bud Dupree got hurt in the COVID year? Bud Dupree got injured. Wasn't that more of a reason for their demise than Ben's cap hit, which he reworked before the season? I'm done with Podcast Gate. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Can we move on?
Certainly we can move on. Do you want to move on to Olympic Gate and whether or not Sidney Crosby should have been there in the first place?
Sure. Is that the question? Because yes is the answer. I mean, it's the Olympics. People are playing for their countries. The players desperately want to play in this, and the product shows how desperate they are to play in this. Sid's injury cast a pall over the proceedings, obviously, yesterday, but the hockey itself, listen, I was over at a restaurant right here in Greentree with people at the Fan. I hadn't watched a hockey game where everybody was so into it in I don't know how long.
You're talking about the Canada game or the U.S.
Canada game. And then I came home and watched the U.S. game. I don't remember many greater days of hockey than that. Of course they should play. You can get injured at any time. Now, this brings up the Paul Skeens thing, Tim. The World Baseball Classic is very different from the Olympics to me. How do you feel about that? I think that Skeens should play if he wants. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not really hung up on the results. In fact, I didn't even remember this whole thing was happening, or at least when it was happening.
When is it happening?
What?
When is it happening?
Like in 3 weeks?
Okay.
2 weeks?
Maybe no, they shouldn't.
I don't know.
I mean, like, here's my take on the professional athletes playing in these sports. First of all, I agree with you that the Olympics is a different kettle of fish than the World Baseball Classic. They don't need to do the World Baseball Classic at all, at least not with major league players. The Olympics is a bigger deal. I don't think the NHL should have to acquiesce to its players saying that we want to be in it. Tough. I think if the Olympics is such a great stage, then we should and would care about the sport regardless of who was playing in it. However, to your point, if there's pizza in the break room the day after the Super Bowl, I'm going to eat it, even if I know it's going to give me diarrhea. You know what I mean? Like, of course I'm going to consume it. Of course I'm going to like it. But if I get bitten by it because my guy gets injured, I guess you got to live with it. I still shouldn't do it. It's not smart to do. It's not intelligent to do, but I'm going to consume it if it's there. I'm not going to turn a blind eye to it and pretend I'm not interested. Yeah, I'm interested, but it's not wise to do. Like from an NHL perspective, I think they initially did this because they thought they were going to get a bump out of it. They haven't gotten the bump out of it that they thought that they did, but they opened up the Pandora's box, and now the players want to go all the time.
Oh, wait a second. The last thing you said, I agree with. They thought they would get a bump out of it. This is actually bad for the NHL because the brand of hockey is so much better than even the good games we're going to see coming out of the break. This makes that look like slop, let alone, a late February or March game between the Predators and Sharks. Like this completely overshadows and outclasses the NHL product. And nobody's going to say, wow, that Canada-US game was awesome. I think I will watch Predators Sharks on Thursday night at 10.
Right. And they've had how many Olympics now to learn that lesson?
Right. However, I think I just heard you say you would prefer amateurs at the Olympics and that you would be just as inclined to watch basically the equivalent of the World Junior Championship on this stage as Sidney Crosby against, name a guy for the U.S.
No, I wouldn't be as inclined, but I would still watch.
Okay.
But I would also be more inclined than to watch the World Juniors.
All right.
Because it's still the Olympics. Like same argument about it being the Olympics versus the World Baseball Classic. The Olympics is a bigger stage than the World Juniors.
Right. But this has a chance to be all-time classic stuff. I mean, can you imagine if Sid lives out there like Willis Reed to face the Americans, and you've got Sully on one bench, you've got Sid on the other team?
I'm going to watch it. It's great theater. But, I mean, sometimes it comes at the expense of something greater, and you have to be ready to live with both ends of that.
I agree with that. I agree with it. You can get hurt at any time, and it means enough to him and to them and really to the hockey world and people. And it's maybe the most global of the mainstream American sports. It certainly is. So play. And if you get hurt, that sucks. And here's the other thing. Here's the other thing about that. What the hell were these referees looking at in that game? 3 of them were NHL referees.
They can't count to 6.
That part was. I've been watching hockey.
It's like if you play hockey in Italy, you've got to do the metric system. So 6 really equals 5 1/3. So like they were confused.
For people who aren't aware yet, the Czechs had 6 guys on the ice for the tie-breaking goal in the third period that might have decided this whole tournament for Canada, might have eliminated them. But it wasn't like a line change where you're like, was that too many men? It was 6 guys attacking and then 6 guys celebrating the goal in front of one of the officials. It was insanity. I've never seen that in hockey. Well, get these guys out of here. But they also missed Sid getting crushed in open ice right before he got hurt. And Canada would have been on the power play and he wouldn't have been injured.
You're talking about the Palat hit, or you're talking about the Gudas hit? You're talking about the Palat hit, right?
The Palat hit in open ice.
It was interference. Yeah.
Yes. He was nowhere near the puck.
Well, let's kind of go through that sequence then. All right. So Gudas hitting him, that was the second hit, the one that probably caused the injury before he got double teamed against the boards.
Probably, yes.
Probably something was messed up there before he got hit along the boards.
Right.
The way his knee bent and whatnot. Did you have a problem with that hit?
No.
See, I thought he was going high. I thought he was intending to hit him high.
Maybe, but I didn't see it crossing the lines of legality. Did you?
Not with the way that the hit actually ended up getting executed. Like, I think there was more intent there than it ended up being legal or illegal by the way Sid was going down and kind of preparing for the hit and attempting to duck the hit after he got rid of the puck.
I mean, the first one, though, in open ice was so illegal.
The first one was blatant interference. I don't think it was dirty, but it was interference.
I think it was dirty.
You thought it was dirty too?
Yes. He hit an unsuspecting, puckless Sid in the neutral zone. It reminded me of David Steckel from the Winter Classic all those years ago.
I thought Steckel was more about just kind of throwing an elbow on a flyby.
I mean, it was a little different, but it's basically taking a guy completely unsuspecting who happens to be Sidney Crosby, who's targeted in the NHL, who's targeted in the Olympics, and just laying him out in open ice without the puck.
It was definitely a blown call. Like, there was a definite miss. And sort of to kind of go through the chain of events there, before you get to the double team hit, before you get to the Gudas hit, if they call that, play is blown dead, and then he doesn't get injured.
Right.
That doesn't justify NHL players in the Olympics.
No, that's a different topic. How do you like 3-on-3 to decide these games?
I hate it. And you know what? I've never been a fan of 3-on-3. It's fun and interesting to watch, but it's a bastardized version of hockey. I love the fact that some people will talk about how they have to get away from the shootout, but they're still okay with 3-on-3 to decide a game. There's 25 different examples of how a breakaway or a penalty shot can come up in hockey. But how many times in your life have you ever seen 3-on-3 naturally occur in a game? I think maybe once or twice. Maybe that Islander game where everybody got into a fight on Valentine's Day.
Now you're sounding like Ron Cook, old and cynical. I think I've reached the point in my life where I am no longer a traditionalist with any sport.
Well, I'm not a traditionalist. That's why I don't have a problem with the shootout. I'm fine with the shootout.
So how would you have decided these games?
4-on-4 or 5-on-5?
You'd play forever at 5-on-5. You can't play forever in the Olympics.
Why not? They're the Olympics. They used to run the Olympics. Joe, the marathon started because of the Olympics. He just ran forever until he died.
Because there's 2 more games to play on the same sheet of ice.
Okay, well, think back to the Big East tournament. What if Syracuse and UConn was 6 overtimes and then West Virginia and Louisville had to go on after them? What if that was the 6-10 game instead of the 9:30 game?
Well, that's one.
What are they going to do, play 3-on-3 basketball?
That's one game that went 6 overtimes. Most basketball overtimes are over relatively quickly. Listen, I'll
say this. I will say this to 3-on-3 in the Olympics. You're probably never going to have another TJ Oshie moment. For as much as we glorify and think that was great, it's also that was even a bastardized version of the shootout, for God's sakes.
Peter Forsberg's on a stamp in Sweden for what he did on a shootout.
Yeah, so is Oshie. That's why I'm fine with the shootout. But what I'm saying is, if you look at 3-on-3 overtime in the Olympics, you'll never get to another shootout again because for 10 minutes, 3-on-3, with that level of skill on the ice, somebody's scoring.
Let me ask
Somebody's scoring.
Let me ask you one yes or no question.
Yeah.
With both of those, there are actually 3 of them. I only saw the U.S. and Canada, obviously. Were you wildly entertained by those overtimes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Would I have been wildly entertained if there were 5-on-5?
I have no further questions.
I have a question for you. Would you have been wildly entertained if there were 5-on-5 or 4-on-4?
Not necessarily. I mean, of course, but not like that.
Yes, you would have. Yeah, but
not like that.
I don't think if we had never seen 3-on-3 for an overtime game, if you're watching those same games in those same circumstances and it's 4-on-4 or 5-on-5, nothing is going through Joe Starkey's mind going, God, I wish they would both take an extra player off the ice.
I know, but they have, and we've seen it. And now that's my litmus test for everything in sports. You want to put a guy on second base in extra innings? I say do that in the playoffs. I say play 4-on-4 and then 3-on-3 in playoff overtime in the NHL.
I wouldn't have a problem with 4-on-4 for the NHL overtimes because the NHL overtimes are so conservative. They're so sloggy.
Yeah.
The ice is bad. The players are beaten up. I don't have a problem with expediting overtime through some forced mechanism, be it 4-on-4, maybe even 3-on-3, or a shootout after 3 overtimes. I am more offended as a traditionalist of 3-on-3 than I am a shootout because you have breakaways in hockey all the time. There are you see more penalty shots in hockey than you do 3-on-3.
Yeah.
3-on-3 is an invented, mechanized version of hockey that they just created. You almost never see a real life 3-on-3 situation.
So is the sport. So is the sport itself. Everything was created and mechanized. Everything. The 3-point line in basketball, they just threw it in there one day and it completely changed the game. I mean, things change. We evolve. Were you entertained wildly? Yes. More than even a 5-on-5 overtime. In my case, absolutely yes. So I was sitting here in this very room, just breathless, just completely riveted to it.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
Again, it's a matter of, will you consume it if it's there? Absolutely. Will I enjoy it if it's there? Absolutely. Is it necessarily the right way to go about things? I don't know. We'll see. If USA loses in a 3-on-3 situation, like do we have the same conversation today if the U.S. loses? Or are we having the conversation that Sweden won because of a tricked up, phony baloney way to play hockey in overtime?
Yes, we are. I'm having the same conversation. Listen,
do you actually have a Peter Forsberg stamp of him shooting on the shootout?
I don't. I wish I did. I wish I didn't have to listen to TJ Oshie, by the way, on the broadcast. What do you think of him? I'm not a big fan.
I don't think it's been great.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a little bland. I think they put him in some tough situations in the studio. I mean, they gave him some really weird attempt to try to formulate his shootout goals that he did against Russia. They gave him a stick and a puck. They put him in dress shoes. And they're right. They put this giant goalie over there, but they're like, don't shoot it at the screen.
I hate that.
They do that $10,000. What are they doing?
They do it on all these shows. I don't need to see the baseball analyst with a bat in his hands or the basketball analyst shooting baskets or the hockey guy in street clothes taking penalty shots. Is the best you can do for your background a thermostat, Tim? Come on.
Well, no.
At least get a Derek Coleman photo back there or something.
Here, hold on one second.
A thermostat is the best we're going to do here? Listen, here we go. What's he got? Nice sunset over Pittsburgh, or what is that?
There, that's the Carrier Dome.
Oh,
but look, now it's crooked. But it's also see how it reflects, though. That's the problem. It reflects.
I know, but it's still better than just a thermostat. One of my great joys growing up. No, here he goes. One of my great joys growing up was watching Pearl Washington in the Carrier. I didn't go to the Carrier.
Still crooked, whatever. Jamie just walked over. She goes, "This is my whole life."
I thought you said Jamie just walked over and called timeout. I thought you were going to be talking about Jamie Dixon when I was talking about Pitt and Syracuse.
No, she's not kneeling, and it wasn't after a made basket.
She'll mime the podcast the way Jamie does on the sidelines trying to play defense.
Hey, I called a game yesterday where there were 2 Jamie Dixon timeouts after made baskets that made sense. How about that? Not at like the 8-minute mark of the first half.
What about the famous Jamie Dixon timeout? I think it was Lamar Patterson against Notre Dame going in for a breakaway layup. Timeout.
Was that Brandon Knight? Who was that?
I don't remember.
No, it was too late because it was Lamar Patterson. Like you said, he was going in against. That's right. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was tremendous.
It's driving me crazy now.
Pearl, it looks like a sunset. I think now it's just a bare wall. You look like you're in prison. This looks like
because now it was crooked and I couldn't figure out how to straighten it out. I'll put it back
next. Like a call across the glass where you pick up the phone in the little well and I pick up the other phone. What are we doing? Now we have a light switch and a thermostat. That's all you got?
That's all I got. Yeah. What do you want?
You have a home studio by now?
I probably should, but it's darker up there.
Do you remember Pearl Washington? Were you alive for him?
Of course I was alive for Pearl Washington. I wasn't in school for Pearl. I was in school for who was I in school for? Lawrence Moten. Adrian Autry, who's coaching the team now into oblivion.
He was really good. But what made the Big East, one of the major things that made the Big East was the Carrier Dome and Pearl Washington. I don't know if you've seen the documentaries on the rise and fall of that
Requiem
league.
for the Big East is one of the great 30 for 30s that was ever done.
And the fact that, that became appointment viewing, was Pearl at the Carrier Dome. And just the scene there was incredible. What's the greatest sporting event you witnessed in the Carrier Dome?
Maybe a lacrosse game.
What?
Honestly, yeah. I saw a lacrosse game that was 18-17. SU beat Virginia. Casey Powell had like 6 goals in his freshman breakout season, and it was an absolute zoo. We did storm the court when I was a junior against Kentucky and UConn in back-to-back games.
Wow. Who played for UConn?
That was Ray Allen, Daron Sheffer, that era. Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff.
There was my senior year, the Big East had Ray Allen, Allen Iverson, Danya Abrams, Kerry Kittles, John Wallace, and Syracuse went to the Final Four. Who am I skipping over? I think that was it. But that was like the number 1 rated Villanova team with Lawson, Kerry Kittles.
Man, do I miss the Big East.
What was his name?
Even the coaches. The coaches were a main part of the show.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Massimino, Boeheim, Thompson.
Calhoun. Yeah, everybody's complaining about Mick Cronin. I'm like, that was Jim Calhoun on a nightly basis. What are we talking about here? Did you see Jim when he threw out his own player?
That was ridiculous what Cronin did to that kid. I don't like that. I love tough coaching, get in somebody's face, yell at him, bench him, do whatever.
Okay, well, this is a segue. So let's get to our Trib Treats right now. Maybe we'll come back to some other stuff, but let's get to Trib Treats right now. Because guess who I saw last night at the Dukes game? Bob Huggins made an appearance. Yes. Bob, have you seen like him on Twitter? He went to a Marshall game or something like that recently, and he had a full beard and a hat pulled down like that. That's what he was wearing at UPMC Cooper Fieldhouse last night. He has a big bushy beard now. He was there because Darius Nichols is now the head coach of LaSalle. LaSalle played Duquesne, and he was there behind the bench because he coached Nichols for his first 3 years or something like that.
I remember him. I covered that team.
Yes, and they went to something like two Sweet 16s and 1 Elite 8 over that 3-year span between him and Byline. And so he was there. He showed up, but he looks just like it's amazing. Like you would not be able to recognize him. I had to text the SID across the way, and I said, "The guy in the white hat, is that really Bob Huggins right there?" And he was just sitting there drinking a Pepsi, like with this hat pulled down. Like, I don't know if he didn't want anybody to notice him, and maybe people didn't. Like, I kind of heard some murmuring because people saw him on our screen behind us.
Yeah.
And that's the first time people realized who he was. And then it started to get around the building a little bit.
Did you talk to him?
I didn't have time. No, because we're doing the broadcast already.
How about those Dukes? How about the Dukes coming up big again?
Did you see the buzzer beater?
Yeah.
That was something else, wasn't it?
Yeah, they might make another run. You know, I'm a proud Duquesne graduate school graduate.
Yeah, it's one of the 6 places you have a degree from, right?
Yeah, let's go through them. I started out at Cortland State. I had to come home after 1 year. It didn't go well. I went to the University of Buffalo. Then I went to Damon College, where my dad taught, to get a teaching certificate. Then I went to Duquesne Graduate School and mixed in classes at CCAC. Did I miss any? That's 5.
CCAC is right down the road from here.
Wonderful place.
I go there all the time for coffee. They changed it from a Starbucks to a Yin's Coffee, though. So that was
I've never heard of Yin's Coffee. Is it any good?
It's like a local chain. Yeah.
May I do my treat?
Yeah, go ahead. Well, actually, no. I want you to show up with your guitar and play in the coffee house like you do in the coffee house in Mount Lebanon.
I will.
What kind of tunes do you play?
Old Bob Dylan, little Van Morrison thrown in, little this, little that. Mostly old folk stuff.
Do you do the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald? You do one song and then just go home.
I can't do, well, I could do Gordon Lightfoot, but it's a little tough. I don't really like that song. His voice annoys me.
Yeah, it is kind of an annoying song. It was just very popular for about 3 weeks when we hit the anniversary a few months ago. But yes, what's your trib treat?
Well, I've got several here, but I'll choose one. The Miracle on Ice documentary literally brought me to tears yesterday.
I welled up a couple times, yeah.
For many reasons. I mean, you know, how fast time passes, how old everybody is. They're now in their late 60s. I think Eruzione's even in his early 70s. That it seemed like such a unifying moment, and that we can't have that now because
it'll never happen again.
We're so bitterly divided now. That really hit me yesterday watching that. And then the fact that, you know, I covered Herb Brooks and I wrote I think it's going to be in the weekend edition of the Trib, one of maybe my most memorable moment in sports, not covering Super Bowls or Stanley Cups. The year was 2002. I was on my way to cover the Olympics in Salt Lake City, and believe it or not, stopped in LA to visit a buddy of mine. And it was also the first time, and maybe the only time, I haven't been able to confirm this, that all 20 players plus Herb Brooks congregated since they visited the White House after beating Finland to win gold. A lot of people forget that the Miracle on Ice was a semifinal game.
Right.
So I was there at that LA convention center.
I was there.
All these guys in their 40s, the first time they had been together since basically the Miracle on Ice. And what's more, they played a little 4-on-4 exhibition on a miniature sheet of ice. And I stood behind the bench with Herb Brooks. I was there looking at the names and numbers. Now they were all gray and balding, but I got to experience their only meeting with the full group and Herbie together. And of course I wrote about it that day. And then I wrote about it mixed in with observations from the documentary for this weekend's Trib. Just the greatest moment, the Miracle on Ice in American sports history is what it was, right?
Well, now I'm going to one-up you after you usually tend to one-up me with all these stories.
Yes, please.
For my 50th birthday, Jamie got me ice time at the Herb Brooks rink. So I got to skate at the Herb Brooks rink. Just me and her and a friend of mine and his kids. We got like a half hour, an hour of ice time.
I think you told me this. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so like when they were doing that scene where they walked out from the locker room and then walked out onto the ice, like I walked that same stretch.
As older men now, they showed that scene.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Could you feel it?
You could feel it. You feel that in Lake Placid if you're walking around the lake. Not if you're walking around Mirror Lake, you just feel the 1980. It's just you can't escape it. Like you walk up and down the roads, you look at the lake. There's that scene where they're walking and everybody is stopping them for their autographs. Even as older men in their 70s, they start people honking the horns and all that. Like I've walked that strip. And the most amazing thing is seeing the high school and seeing the outlay of now it's a track where the kids run, but that's where Eric Heiden won all.
Eric Heiden.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like it's you feel ghosts like where you go to the shot heard around the world in Massachusetts. The first shot of the Revolutionary War. That's like the only other time I felt something like that. We're going to Gettysburg a little bit later on.
Yeah, you should say hello to Tom McMillan.
I think I will.
Not only does he live
what if I show up at Tom McMillan's house? Will he turn the lights out on me like Ron is going to do to you in a couple days?
He might let you in. Plus, he's literally a Gettysburg historian.
Yes, he's written many books about it.
He would show you guys everything you need to see. Do you know who did the only live radio broadcast of the Miracle on Ice?
Oh, that's interesting because they put that in this documentary. I'd forgotten about the radio side of things. Everybody talks about Al Michaels. No, who did it? Joe Starkey.
Joe Starkey, the guy who made the famous band on the field call.
Yeah.
With Stanford Cal. He was the Cal announcer. He also was sitting in the crowd, like with a makeshift radio situation. He didn't even know if he could legally do it, but he went on the air and had the only, I don't even remember for what station or what. He had the only live radio broadcast of that game. How about the footage they had in this documentary?
Yeah, the low angle stuff. Yeah.
Oh my God. Was that incredible?
Yeah. And all this stuff like that. What really hits you is the walking around Lake Placid stuff, especially if you've ever been there before. And you can see how little it's changed.
Yeah, I bet.
You know, there's a lot that looks different, and then there's some things that look not different at all. All right, before we go, let's get to our Friday free-for-all. My Friday free-for-all is this. So what happened to your stomach last week? Because you didn't even make it to the show. You were an hour late, and then you were fine.
Wait, it's only Thursday.
Yeah, I know, but we're going to keep the continuity of the segment because this is going to go up on Friday too, so it'll still be there. All right, it's the Thursday free-for-all.
Do you want the gory details? I had a bad stomach situation.
I don't want gory details. I'm just like, did you go to MedExpress? You went to MedExpress?
Yeah, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know if it was, are gallstones a thing?
Oh, you might have a gallbladder situation.
Maybe it was a gallbladder situation now that I think of it.
Do you have your gallbladder or was it taken out? That's something you would remember.
Yeah. It's a fairly important procedure. I think I have it. Yeah.
How about your appendix? You ever had your appendix taken out?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. Okay. If you know that, then you would also know about your gallbladder.
Yeah.
So
what's the gallbladder even do?
Not much, which is why if you take it out, it's no big deal. It's kind of.
Why don't they just take out our gallbladder and appendix when we start out, and then we don't have to worry about the whole damn thing?
Because, when you're born, every operation is a little bit more delicate than when you're 30. You're not going to cut open a little baby to take out its gallbladder when it's not like snipping an umbilical cord.
I mean,
baby's right out of the oven. Hey,
the gallbladder is just there. It doesn't matter. It's like having Chuck Clark on your roster. It's there, but it's not doing anything.
That's great. If Chuck Clark comes back next year, we're referring to him as the gallbladder.
Why
He's
is
the
it
gallbladder and Jonnu Smith is the appendix?
Why do we have parts of our body that don't matter? That's everything seems. I mean, it's the human body is a miracle. Like now that we're breathing and stuff. But whoever invented us, they put in parts that weren't necessary. That's what I don't get.
Yeah, the parts unknown and parts unnecessary. What is your Thursday free-for-all?
I don't know. I was thinking of a couple different things, so I'm going to say them both. Chris Carter saying that Hines Ward doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Get the hell out of here, Chris Carter.
Well, first of all, it's because he's never thrown a block, and Hines did.
Right.
Well, there's that. But there's also like this notion that he doesn't have the numbers. If you put Hines Ward in the Hall of Fame, you are not lowering the threshold for anybody else. It's not like you are setting a new low with any number of significance if Hines Ward goes into the Hall of Fame.
Would you like to go on with my Friday free-for-all that you've hijacked? Please,
I'm one-upping you.
Continue with my Friday free-for-all.
All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead with another one.
No, I want to finish that one. I never even got started on that one. Look at his playoff numbers, Tim. He's played.
Oh, his playoff numbers.
He's played the equivalent of a full season in the playoffs, 16 games. He's got 80 or 90 catches for 1,100 yards and 8 touchdowns. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Peter King was once asked for his all-time all-pro team, at least since King started covering football in '84. He has Hines Ward even on that team. He's the greatest blocking receiver of his era. The numbers are there, especially in the postseason. Chris Carter's full of crap. And the second one is R.I.P. Mike Wagner, who passed away yesterday. I had a chance to interact with him a couple of times over the years, and he was really a sharp and friendly guy. And again, I look at those steel curtain teams, and I'd forgotten until I read some of the stories today of their players who didn't make the Hall of Fame and how great they were. in 73, I think he was a first-team All-Pro. He tied for the NFL lead with 8 picks. I mean, I think he had 36 career interceptions, including 5 in the playoffs. And he's, a piece on that team. And L.C. Greenwood, who had 4 sacks in a Super Bowl against Roger Staubach in one game, the first time they played the Cowboys, was a piece of that defense. They weren't even the stars. It's the greatest defense of all time, personnel-wise, because even the guys that you don't think about put up numbers like that. And
it's the second best defense of all time. The best defense of all time was the 2020 Steelers, as Steven Nelson just told us.
Right. And 2019 is close.
We've never even heard of L.C. Greenwood because Larry Ogunjobi was on that team.
Exactly.
Well, actually, was he? Was Ogunjobi on that team by then?
He might as well have been. I don't think he was. Yeah, he didn't. Steven Nelson didn't mention him, but on a serious note, R.I.P. Mike Wagner.
Yeah, it was not. I talked to him on a couple of occasions too, and I really liked him as well. There's a couple guys on that team that are really nice guys. Larry Brown's a really nice guy.
He is.
Actually, Jack Ham's a great guy. I'm just trying to think of some other guys that I've gotten to know here and there. Rocky. I used to work out with Rocky. We're in the same gym for a while.
Really?
Yes. Rocky was still getting it done, man. He was still putting it up.
Wow.
Certainly much better than me.
Was he at that point stronger than you?
Yeah. Well, he used to do a lot of the machines. I don't think he was doing a lot of free weights by that point, but this was 2 or 3 years ago when I was still going to the Fitness 19 on Green Tree Road, Joe. I'm sure you know it well. The one down by the Giant Eagle.
You should have stopped into my house unannounced.
Is that on your walking route on the way up when there's a snowstorm?
Right. You should have stopped by my house unannounced like I did at 1137 Greenfield Avenue. And I could have shut off the lights.
With Ron. So is this a golf trip or is this like a second honeymoon or what is this?
No, I'm going by myself to play golf. That's all.
So second honeymoon by yourself.
Yeah. I just it's been a long winter. By the way, I heard Carly Simon over at the supermarket today. Do we still call places like Giant Eagle and Coons and all those places? Are they supermarkets?
That's what I call them. What would you call them?
I don't know. I didn't know if there was a new word. Her song Anticipation was playing. I haven't heard it in years. Maybe a top 25 song of all time, Anticipation. You know it, right?
Yeah. And you know how I know that? It's from the
ketchup commercial.
Yes, the ketchup commercial. That's right.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, Joe. Enjoy your walk to work today and enjoy your trip. Where are you playing, by the way? What golf courses?
I forget. I know Saturday I'm playing at Tiburon.
Did Pop get you on these courses or did you get on by yourself?
Bob is trying to get me on a course near Bradenton. There's still an outside chance I may make a field trip over to Bradenton and play a really nice course near there, but I need Bob's help.
So you need free golf from Pomp and you need to get free beer if Ron's going to join you somewhere.
If I'm joining Ron, I'm picking up the check. He's getting free beer.
Joe Starkey is on today. Make sure you listen to him. And is it Donnie Football? No, that's a Friday. We're actually on Thursday. Is Pomp there with you today? Yeah. All right. So Joe's on in about an hour.
I don't know till I show up usually.
Then it's either Joe and City Limits or Joe and Pomp in the cardboard cutout then from
maybe Tyler Kennedy today.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Him to be on. Yeah.
All right. And you can catch me with Mark Madden Monday coming up and Madden Benz Unfiltered here on Monday on the actual day that it's supposed to air. We will be back next Friday for Beyond the Bylines with Starkey and myself. Thanks for watching here at Trib Live.
See you, Tim.
Bye-bye.